Cool. So we'll get going then. So the first question is from Shireen, and I'm going to play it to you now. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Okay. Let me know if you can't.
Hi Marvin, my name is Shireen and I'm the creative director and founder of Food Dependent. And my question for you today is on behalf of all the independent food and drink businesses which suffered throughout lockdown. We would really like to know whether there are any plans in place to help the food and drink industry thrive again.
So we're meeting right now, and as part of an effort to really revive our local shopping areas in the city. We're rolling out a plan for high streets and what we call town centres, even though they're within the city, and the city centre as well. So to support that local retail trade is rolling out right now. We're also part of something called Going for Gold, which is about food sustainability, and that's looking at the whole food industry from our sourcing, trying to make sure it's local sourced, high quality, low food miles, down to local sale as well, and supporting our local traders within that. So there is lots of work. Ash is my cabinet member who's really taken a strong lead on that. As well as that, we'll also be trying to make sure that we're getting the support we need from national government to be able to channel the direct financial support to businesses to make sure they can survive and be ready to benefit from any economic uptick when it comes.
My question for Marvin Rees is, what are his plans to tackle homelessness in Bristol and drive down the numbers of people who are sleeping rough? I think that the coronavirus pandemic has shown that people don't have the right access to basic sanitation when they're living on the streets, and it's a real problem in Bristol which really needs to be addressed and tackled head on.
So we're pushing on a number of fronts on that. First off is building homes. We are just continuing to drive forward with house building in the city. You see the cranes up, you see the large apartments going up on the edge of Castle Park as well. So we're continuing to press. When we focus on homelessness, we talk about the homelessness in its fullness, which is rough sleepers, the people we see, but also the hidden homeless, particularly families in temporary accommodation as well, who need homes to be built. But we've brought homes down a lot, over 80% through the Everyone In campaign. We've got a big campaign going on at the moment. We've been meeting regularly with a number of the agencies, legal support, homelessness organisations like St Mungo's, refugee rights as well, looking at people with no recourse to public funds because they're amongst the most vulnerable at this time. We've got a financial cliff edge, March the 31st. We've extended ours in Bristol to April the 12th, and we've been working with universities and other accommodation providers to make sure that we don't end up with people with no recourse to public funds suddenly spilling out on the streets. We're also bringing forward plans for temporary accommodation as well. So only yesterday I met with the Salvation Army, Bristol Housing Festival, about bringing more pods into the city, similar to the kind of style of homes we built in St George's Park, which we did with Housing Festival and YMCA for young people at risk of homelessness as well. So those pods may give us more capacity for people to get off the street into an appropriate temporary accommodation before moving on to permanent accommodation after support from services. There's a whole bunch of other things as well, support for mental health and addiction services, because it's never just about a roof and walls. There can be complexities that lead to people rough sleeping in the city as well. And we're trying to take preventative action as well for future generations. So our focus on personal health and social education for our children and young people thrive is about trying to build that resilience so people can withstand the trials of life that sometimes end up with people rough sleeping. So we're looking at the immediate crisis, but also the medium to long-term challenges as well.
Traffic in Bristol was bad pre-COVID. How do you plan to improve things post-lockdown? Are there any plans in place to improve public transport?
Well, the public transport plans we've been pushing through. Biggest, I suppose, the immediate step was to sign a bus deal and with First. And what that means is in exchange for giving bus prioritisation, they've committed to doubling the frequency of the services. We've already seen that with the number 2 route, which is the busiest route in the city, and putting us on course to having 100% biogas buses as well, which is a financial challenge, but one we are pushing towards. And they're also entering into us on the challenge of providing free bus travel for under 25s in education and training as well. So we get the habits early. So that's what we've done immediately in the city. The pedestrianisation of the old city, the bus gate on Baldwin Street adds to that bus prioritisation. Working with the combined authority as well, it's about rolling out our ring of park and rides around Bristol so that people can leave their cars on the edge of the city, particularly commuters, and then come into the city by bus. And we've really got to grips with our neighbours in South Gloss. We sat around the table and we're really driving in on the solution of where we're going to put the M32 park and ride, which will obviously be a big win for us. We're expanding the Long Ashton park and ride in those plans as well. So very positive, as well as the rail routes. So the Portishead line is now coming in as well, which will be a massive relief for the A4 coming into Bristol. So all that is, what we're trying to do immediate. Some of it has immediate payback, some of it has payback over the medium to longer term. And then in the background of all of that, we're doing the work on the mass transit system, the underground, overground. So we're, again, working with the combined authority. We've been looking at the routes, narrowing down the options and making progress. But that's a 10-year programme, £4 billion, but it is happening. But don't let anyone tell you it's pie in the sky. There are lots of cities with mass transit systems, and we will have ours.
Will health professionals be exempt from the new Bristol congestion charge, as many health professionals are on a low wage?
So I have to it's not actually a congestion charge. It's a clean air zone is subtly different. Congestion charge is there to stop people driving in an area. A clean air zone does deter people from driving, by definition it will, but it's actually there to influence behaviour and to encourage people to change their vehicles and to use different routes to actually clean up air. So it's a public health intervention rather than a congestion intervention. Interestingly, it's a subtle difference, but it does make sense when you play it out. So people on low wage under £24,000 will not be subject to the charge. People with compliant cars and vehicles will not have to pay the charge, because it's only on non-compliant vehicles. Those are petrol cars pre-2005 and diesel cars pre-2016. So we estimate about 3/4 of the cars are actually and vehicles in the city will be compliant anyway. There'll also be support for people to transition, so there'll be a financial package to help people move to compliant vehicles coming forward as well. And then we will be entering into relationships with specific organisations. It was a point we made to government when we were being beaten up in the press. One of the reasons we were remonstrating with government about the clean air zone was because we were saying it was a very blunt instrument and it was going to impact on households and small businesses and low wage people. And in particular that our hospital was in the senior city, and we've got a lot of care workers moving around Bristol as well. But they didn't listen to us too much, so we just took the hits. But in the mitigations we're going to be putting in around the clean air zone, we will be taking all vulnerable households and workers into account.
Just to add to that with a written one, this question originally came through for Bath, but I thought it was relevant for Bristol as well. Emma asked, what's being done to ensure that bringing in the clean air zone doesn't negatively impact Bristol's recovery from COVID?
Well, again, this is the point we made to government. It's important to know the context to clean air zone, by the way. So we all want to get to clean air, absolutely. But we are required, not just by government, but by law, because there's a legal case pending against national government, to deliver clean air, to deliver compliant air quality in the shortest possible time. Anything we do could be tested in the courts. And if we are found not to be taking measures to deliver air quality in the shortest possible time, then we will fail in that legal case. And government did make an effort to raise economic issues, and they failed in the courts. So we have to realise there's a juggernaut that's coming towards us in terms of legal action. So we have to take the action, and we think it's a very blunt action. And we did actually pursue a non-charging option before, but the modelling showed us it would not deliver clean air in the shortest possible time. It's going to be our point to government that they need to front load investment in green infrastructure to get the money moving around the economy. We will do our best to continue to make that case. We've launched the Western Gateway as another vehicle to bring in inward investment, but we do see the danger of additional financial burden on businesses at this time. It's a point we've made repeatedly. But as I said, there's a juggernaut coming towards us, and the legal press is towards delivering the CAS. But we'll continue to make the case for our business community.
Hi Marvin, it's James. My question for you is, what advice would you give to businesses whilst their employees return to work?
Well, I think my initial advice is to get all the advice you can. It's a circular argument, but you can always reach out to our public health team and our our support staff out there if you have any concerns about how to open up in a COVID secure way. Chamber of Commerce have also been offering this advice as well, Business West. So get all the advice you can to make sure your workplace is as safe as possible. And if at any time you have concerns about the way businesses are running and finance, again, reach out to us, because we have our support lines to help you navigate what financial support there may or may not be. I think our emphasis has been to be very cautious because while we're all very frustrated at lockdown, we know it's necessary, and what we don't need to do is yo-yo in and out of lockdown. That would be the worst possible outcome. So just reach out to us and get all the advice you can.
Lovely. Couple of written questions now. First one's from Jeremy, who's a doctor, and he asks, what are you and the council doing to ensure that as many BAME people as possible take up the COVID vaccines?
So we set up a COVID group focused on Black and Asian people straight out of the traps. Asha Craig has been one of the leaders in that group. It's not chaired by us, but we've got a group of medics together with community workers. So they've been focused on the challenge of the disproportionate impact of COVID in and of itself on people from Black and Asian backgrounds, and then the disproportionate take up of the vaccine as well. And then our community development workers, ably led by Mohammed Al Sharif, has been working across the city, reaching out to community groups, working through GMA, BCFM as well. I do a weekly slot every Wednesday. I'm on BCFM. Every Thursday I'm on GMA as well with the latest information on COVID-19 and any other issues they want to ask me about. And obviously vaccines come into that, and those stations by definitions are stations that have a disproportionate representation among Black and Asian communities. So it's something we're very aware of. I actually come from a public health background. I used to work in race equality and mental health, and our director of public health, our current director of public health, was actually my boss running that program then. And so she also is fully on top of the challenge of inequalities in health, both race and class driven. So yeah, we're on it. Not easy, but we're on it.
Lovely. And then the last one is about major local events. And the question is, what are you going to do to help them recover from coronavirus when they're allowed to start up again? I'm thinking like the balloon fiesta, things like that.
Well, again, there are a whole number of strands to this. One is to make sure government are fully aware of the need to invest in local economies. To be perfectly frank, I am quite frustrated at the whole levelling up criteria, which seems to be politically led, with money going to Conservative-run parliamentary constituencies. It's an issue that we've raised, but we need that levelling up money, that restart, money for the economy to be spread across the country, and we'll continue to make that point so that people have the disposable income to be able to spend. In terms of the practical running of those events, again, it has to be done with the support of our public health team to make sure that as long as the COVID risk is with us, that we are putting in place the best possible COVID secure environments. What we do not need is a resurgence of COVID and another lockdown. And we anticipate that there will be lots of pressure next winter, because it's not just COVID, it's all the other flus and sicknesses that go along as well. And that will add pressure to the NHS. So we need to do both of those things. We're trying to get the money out as quick as we can, but making sure people are very wise and skilled in how to create COVID secure environments.